It's time for one of our carbon-neutral fireside chats. COP28 is coming up in less than a year, right here in the UAE. India will play a vital role in finding the formula to unlock economic growth as well as deliver the benefits of climate resilience, decarbonization, and environmental sustainability. So what will that look like? Very pleased, as Manoj mentioned, we have an official steeped in that question from the Government of India, the Minister of Labour and Environment, Employment and Environment, Forest and Climate Change, His Excellency Bhupender Yadav. Minister, thank you so much for joining us. How are you today?
I'm fine, and thank you very much for inviting me in this program. And I, first of all, congratulate to India Global Forum to organize a wonderful event on the relevant topic, climate finance and technology. I thanks to my friend Mr. Manoj also to inviting me in this program.
Thank you. So before we travel the road to COP28, let's have a look at COP27 first of all. There was some disappointment that there wasn't more progress towards mitigating emissions. I'd love you to give us your summary on what you believe was accomplished and what was important to you.
COP27 actually was a COP for implementation. Since long there was a demand by the developing countries to fulfill the demand of loss and damages. I am happy that this long-awaiting demand was fulfilled in COP27, and we unanimously agreed to implement the loss and damages action. Second thing, the four important decisions. First, regarding the next quantifiable goal. Second, about Article 6. Third, about the mitigation measures. And fourth, about the adaptation policy. I think there was a sufficient progress on this thing. First time, the agriculture sectors will also be considered in the just transition. But India clearly stated that yes, we worked in the agriculture field, but agriculture is not a part of NDCs of India. And as per our country is concerned, we always say that India is always the part of solution, not problem. That's the reason what we announced in Glasgow as our enhanced NDCs we submitted before the COP27. India amongst the few countries, less than 40, who submitted their enhanced NDC. Second, merely 60 countries submitted the low carbon emission planning and program. India announced its 2017 net zero, and we submitted our long-term policy on the low carbon emission. So that the next thing, and finally I want to say our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji initiated the mission LIFE, that means environment friendly lifestyle. And in this Sharm el-Sheikh declaration, all countries accepted and unanimously it's come in the decision paper that environmentally friendly lifestyle means sustainable consumption and sustainable production is the need of this today's world. That's very near to the philosophy of India and the mission of our Prime Minister, environment friendly lifestyle.
I'd love you, Minister, to take us to what it's like when you're in the heart of these negotiations. What was the hardest part? And can you share with us any disappointments that you may have felt during the week?
I think negotiation was on right track, and it's not a hard, or it is not it is in the interest of the world. I am disappointed that after so much promised, the 100 billion pledge is not to be fulfilled by the developed countries, and still the technology transfer demand is not fulfilled. And you know what the countries told us of the coal. That time we say you must be strict on the CBDR principle, common but differentiated responsibility. But what we are hearing, some coal mines also going to be open in the Western countries. But we still feel that all climate change negotiation is strict on the principle of Paris, the CBDR, common but differentiated responsibility. Every country fix their NDCs according to their national circumstances, and our stand in Glasgow now accepted by the world today.
So what needs to happen now on the road to COP28? How can India set the course, do you think, for finding solutions that work in practice?
First of all, I am very much happy that next COP will be organized in UAE, and India and UAE will work together in future also. And India is also getting the presidency of G20. Our Prime Minister already gave a motto of G20. The meaning is Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, one world and one family. So that's a core understanding of India, to feel the world as a family. And the second thing is very important thing in the G20 and environmental field also. India is already working in the field of circular economy, the sustainability of sustainability of the economy, lifestyle, and all this thing, the blue economy and other thing also. In the last COP, in the Sharm el Sheikh, the UAE and Indonesia started an alliance for the mangrove alliance. That's a very important. That's a very economic, environmentally solution of the thing. And India has also become the part of that alliance. And I feel in next COP28 by UAE, the implementation stand taken by in Sharm el Sheikh will be, I think, become more strong and more progressive in that manner, that all developing countries will get justice in the field of climate change.
Your government has made a really large commitment to increasing manufacturing, providing better paying jobs for more Indians. And that seems like a real microcosm of the world's challenges right now, to continue to improve people's lives while reducing our impact on the planet. So how will you grow manufacturing while reducing carbon emissions?
India has already announced its enhanced NDCs. As per enhanced NDCs, India has already submitted that we enhance the 50% production of our renewable energy. We are also using the technology who reduce the carbon emission to 40%. India is among the few countries who achieved their NDCs target, those declared in the Paris. So our track record, our commitment, our credibility, and especially the leadership of our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi, is so firm about to achieving the targets what India announced. We have already says that India always be the part of solution, not problem. And I want to mention here one thing about the credibility of India is concerned, that under the leadership of Prime Minister, India started a alliance for International Solar Alliance, and now that's successfully working. Second is the CDRI, Coalition for Disaster Resilience Infrastructure, that is also successful working. Third is the LED IT with the collaboration of Sweden, that's also working. So our climate action program also shows that India is committing towards to achieving its target, and it shows India's pathway. And that's the reason in the last COP in the Sharm el Sheikh also, India among the few countries, I have already repeated now, who submitted their low carbon emission strategy program. And that program itself shows that India is ready to achieve its target with its low carbon strategy that India has already published it and put before the world in the last COP.
We heard a little earlier from Dr. Jaishankar, together with his UAE counterpart, about the number of partnerships between the UAE and India. I'd love you to say more about the partnership that you see coming between the India and the UAE at COP28.
Yes, it's fortunate that we are having a G20 presidency and they are having a presidency of COP28. Definitely, we have already entered into the some MOU in the last year, in this year when the UAE Environment Minister came to India, and that was the commitment between India and UAE to work together in a different field. And India, it's already working in the renewable energy sector, mission hydrogen, and all other, and definitely both countries will together in future in that.
So India falls within some of the most climate vulnerable regions in the world, and it's been working towards sustainable energy transition with partners like the UAE and elsewhere. What do you think the greatest challenge has been in the journey so far?
Greatest challenge is the climate finance and technology transfer. That's the plan. That's the promises made by the developed countries. Unfortunately, it is not fulfilled. One thing also want to be mentioned here that I participated in one of the meeting in the last COP in Sharm el Sheikh also. With the meeting was presided by the UN General Secretary, and that mentioned in the decision also that early warning system. Suppose in the world every person have a right to get the access for early warning system to a person, to a community, and to a country also. And you know, India's Ministry of Earth and Science are already working in that, and we are providing this early warning system to 13 countries in the Bay of Bengal also. Suppose every country, community, and country is able to get this early warning system, then we will reduce the unfortunate accident and human death due to the climate. Due to the climate and due to the other cyclone and other things. So we think that these type of steps taken by the UN, India fully support them, and we also feel that one of the major thing, that is a behavioral change and contribution by any individual for the climate change. That's a mission life, environment friendly lifestyle. The mission life meaning is, let us individually, on the basis of community or collectively, we will work where we focused on mindful consumption rather than mindless utilization. And I think that behavioral aspect is important to fight for the climate change.
Your Excellency, you've embarked on a project you call India's Life Initiative. It's a very ambitious name. Tell me about it, and what do you hope to accomplish with it?
I have already spoken about the mission life just in the last question also. Again, I want to repeat that mission life is a movement where we need a public support, where we need a contribution by every individual, where we think that so many best practices done in our we are doing with our civilizational values, as with our culture, not in India but in the African country, Latin American country, and the other countries also, where the human race lived with their native wisdom, with their ethos, with their ethics, where we live with the nature. So how we will live with the nature to using the resources of the nature in sustainable manner. So sustainable consumption and sustainable production is the need of our, and that is the part of the last decision of the Sharm el Sheikh COP also. We feel that's the main mission which is initiated by our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, is the major thing for fight with the climate change. So we feel that in everywhere in the world, this mission life and the personal contribution for the mission life is needed by every people of this world.
It's fascinating, the Life Initiative, and as I've been exploring it, it's one of the key parts of it is that the traditional Indian knowledge, as you say, norms, social behaviors, are in fact
traditional knowledge of worldwide. We invite every noble idea from the world. Yes, India is also having a traditional knowledge, but where there is the best idea is there, we are ready to accept that. That's the reason our Prime Minister in the last week, June, gave a worldwide call also of this traditional knowledge system.
So tell me, give us some examples of how about how some of the traditional Indian knowledge or elsewhere in the world is less carbon intensive. Give us an example, and how could encourage the rest of the world to live this way.
The best practices you come as a you know that Indian population is the 17% in the world, but its carbon emission is 4%. The developed countries' population is 17%, but their carbon emission is 60%. So, you know, the personal consumption, this data itself shows, if in one part where the 17% population, only their carbon emission is 4%. The second part, the 17% population, carbon emission is 60%. Why? Because it's a lifestyle. Lifestyle means how we wisely use our water resources, how we wisely use our natural resources, how we wisely use our biological resources, That's the reason how we reuse, recycle, reproduce the thing. That's the reason in the modern world we are living with the nature. We are using the technique which is nature-based technique. With that, we are more focusing on the circular economy where we reuse and recycle the produce also. So that's the mindful consumption, and we want to stop the mindless utilization of resources. That's the major challenge before the world, and that's the object of mission.
It's interesting, you know, the carbon footprint of, you say, of the average person living in India is far smaller than the average carbon footprint of somewhere from where I'm from, the United States, or where I live, the UK. So I wonder if you think that the developed world, or the Western world, however you want to say it, call it, should be shrinking its footprint while India grows its footprint.
Yes, everybody must think about their carbon footprint, and for the developed countries, apart from carbon footprint, again I want to repeat it, they fulfill their promises, and let us they provide the same level playing field to the developing countries, providing them a climate finance and technology transfer.
Let's look ahead towards COP28. What do you hope to achieve there?
I am very much affirmative, and COP27, I have already said that that was a successful COP as far the implementation is concerned, and I feel this implementation position which we decided in COP27, either about the loss and damages that was finally approved by the COP27, and the other issue, the new quantifiable goal, mitigation measures, adaptation practices, and Article 6. I think that will be completed in COP28. That's my affirmative thinking.
What do we need to be looking at between now and then, between now and when we can reconvene here in the UAE for COP28? What are the milestones that we should be looking out for?
Let us we work together to fight against the climate issues. Let us we provide the justice to the developing countries. Let us the resource of the world will be get to the every community, especially for the climate warming mechanism and all these things. And what progress has to be done in COP27, it will be go further in COP28.
You've spoken about the role of youth, bringing together both conscious consumerism together with the role of youth. I wonder if you would say more about that, given the power of youth within India itself.
Ultimately, future about the youth. And you know, we feel more we want to give more responsibility to our youth. They have some idea. They have some idea about the technology innovation. They have some idea about the new with their new enthusiasm. They have some idea about the equity. They have the idea about the biological resources. So I think they must become a conscious about things. We all are having a moral sense, civil sense, law sense. Let us we develop the environmental sense in our youth. That is the important, and that we need it from our youth.
Interesting. You know, my next conversation on stage will be with the head of Ola Financial, and I know that India has a strong drive to not only produce and move towards electric mobility within India, but also to be exporting to the rest of the world. I wonder if you could tell me a little bit more about that ambition.
We have already fixed our ambition, and we are working on that, and I think the way under the leadership of our Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, we are working. Definitely, we will become a part of solution for the fight against the climate change.
Thank you so much, Minister, for joining us. And here at the India Global Forum, we will give you a huge round of applause. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.